All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to a special public meeting of the Stockton Area School District Board of School Directors. We are here tonight to fill the vacancy for the unexpired term created by the resignation of Mrs. Shuren, as prescribed by Public School Code Article 3, Section 315. The board encourages and allows citizens of the district to speak at a public meeting by following the procedures listed below. Persons wishing to address the board must sign in on the orange sign-in sheet with name and address and the items they wish to address. They will be called to the podium by the president. All statements are to be directed to the board president. No participant may address or question board members individually unless directed by the presiding officer. With that being said, folks, obviously it's why we're here tonight to fill this vacancy. As you know, Mrs. Shuren did resign. This board has an obligation to fill that vacancy within 30 days as prescribed by the law, as I just read. We did hear some public comments. People did suggest that we look at the candidates that are involved in running. That makes sense, I guess, for sure, and that is how I looked at it. With that in mind, and to move this to the appointment, I am nominating Mr. William Formica to take the position.
That's wrong.
Sorry?
No, that was us.
Well, that was you?
We're just bringing up the correct agenda, sorry.
Sorry. I don't think we were doing this one.
No, this is it.
Folks, I'm sorry, with the special meeting, I didn't know we were doing the pledge, so can we just pause for 1 minute? Let's see what's appropriate with the pledge. Please join me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Mr. Taylor.
Mrs. Barbieri. Present. Mr. Braccio.
Present.
Mr. Braun. Here. Ms. Flizak.
Present.
Mr. Landis. Mr. Keith.
Here.
Mr. Kubikowski.
Present.
Mr. Nelson. Here. And we have a quorum.
Thank you. We have 2 folks on travel and 1 on vacation. Mr. Landis is not here. All right, folks, I'm sorry about that. As I was saying, with what I just said, I am making a nomination for Mr. William Formica for this position. At this point in time, I'll be seeking a second to that.
I second the nomination.
Seconded by Mr. Braun. Before we proceed to a vote, which I'm going to ask for a roll call vote. Are we going to do those first? Yeah. We're going to handle those first, right? Okay, so we're going to do those, then we're going to have discussion. Cool. So before we do that, we're going to have public comment. We have 2, and then we'll be having discussion. So with that being said, we have first Rosemary Beautiful. Rosemary, please.
Yes, my name is Rosemary Beautiful, and I live in Southampton. I am a candidate for school board. Last month, I spoke after Mrs. Shuren resigned, and I asked the board to explain the process they would follow in filling the seat. I reminded the board that there are many candidates running in the primary election who all made it on the ballot. I suggested that all of us should be considered for the appointment. President Keith, you did say at the meeting that the board would look to the group of candidates when filling the position. Neither I or Dr. Bertzos, Mr. Swindells, Ms. Bowers, or Dr. Suchet were contacted for consideration. I will say that this decision to not speak to any of us is deeply disappointing, but it is not a surprise. I did not expect to be appointed tonight, but I expected the courtesy of due consideration. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rosemary. We'll just comment back to you for what it's worth is I would be absolutely prohibited from the solicitor's point. Please correct me if I stand incorrect or is not correct. If I were to call you and ask you questions about it, it would not be a legal act for me to do. But I could be wrong, so I will turn it to you. Would I be able to do that on a one-on-one basis?
One individual board member cannot bind the rest of the board, and you're presuming, of course, that the board's proposed action has been decided already, and that's not the case. A motion has been made, or have you made the motion?
Okay.
Yeah, you made a motion that's seconded, and the board's going to deliberate that, and I believe your rationale was the motion is for one of the highest, or if not the highest vote getter.
As the person making the nomination, I can speak to that, as Mr. Formica didn't have the highest number of votes. That is nothing that has been the precedent behind us, that is not the precedent moving forward, that is not the precedent, anything to set for a forward board, but that is one of my considerations as the person making the motion. I can't speak for people, and I don't have the right, but that is one of my considerations as the person making the motion. That is what I do.
And when you make that kind of determination of saying you're picking what you perceive to be the highest vote getter, you are in effect considering all of the parties in that process, but picking one out of that process.
Thank you for your comment. We do have a second comment too, for you leave the classes. Dan Mann, on the process of appointment.
And, you know, after your kids, it's out there, just wanted to, I guess, follow up with what you said about as far as the process being transparent. Back in 2005, there was an opening in this board under a previous regime, not the right word, but, and that was done in public. There were applications taken. There were interviews held in a public meeting of multiple candidates, and the board decided. My main concern is, I don't know what the process was, because it's not in the rules, and it was never verbalized to anybody, so I don't know how this decision was come to place. Secondarily, I have an issue with the person who's been nominated for this, just want to get that out of the way. He's very clear on Facebook, he supports far-right militias, and I don't necessarily think that's the person I want to educate my kids.
I don't know. Thank you for your comment, Mr. Mayor. Okay, folks, we did complete the orange sheet, not to be confused with blue and yellow, so we will now move on to discussion from board members. Board members.
I've been on the board for 18 years now. I've seen five appointments in those 18 years. And it's been done several different ways. The way we're doing it tonight, the way that the gentleman said back in 2005, it's done many different ways. As a board member, I took it upon myself and know everyone that is running. So I will cast my vote tonight by me doing the homework of reading who I think is the best person for the job. Necessarily, we don't have to do an interview of who is the best, we all have the information in your resumes, correct? You're running, we know who's running, whatever. So I went through, personally, this is how I did it. Took the best person I thought, and also I used the voters. I looked at the primaries. Who was the person that got the most votes in the primary? Okay? Combining both parties. Both parties, not one from the other, but both parties, whoever's that was, let the voters have some say in what we're doing tonight. So I just want to be clear that this is how I'm making my decision. Okay? Thank you.
Other discussion or comments from the board?
Thank you, Mr. Keith. Not to repeat what's already been said, but as Mr. Keith said, this seat is up for election this year. So if we were to go beyond anybody than the 8 brave people who stepped up to fill this seat, would be pointless, because that person would not be here in December. Because the 8 people who are running and are on the ballot, one of them will most likely take this. And whoever is appointed tonight, we still don't know, they are still running in November. Every one of the candidates has had their little bio, reason as to why they're running, and what they want to do or how they want to impact the school district in the paper, in which every single person has seen that and has based their vote on those that they read, just like I read, and that's how I based my decision. The other factor is, and again, anybody can go to the Montgomery County website and look at the total number of votes, cross-file, you have to add them both together, and you will find that Mr. Formica is the top vote getter out of the 8. So simply based on those facts, and the best chance for somebody who's going to sit in the seat, according to the votes, that will remain here, is the best that we can do. Because even though he got the highest number of votes in the primary, we don't know, but for me, I want longevity. I don't want to be here with somebody who's sitting next to me for only 6 months. They may only want to sit next to me for 6 months, I don't know. But that's how I'm basing my decision. Thank you.
Jeff, this is on that side of the board table. Do you have any comments? Okay. Folks on the phone, Tom or Courtney, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I can't, I don't know if anybody can hear me, but I agree with what everyone said without laboring, because I think the primary, Willis is the most qualified that I see, and the vote, the prior vote for it. So I will support it. So.
Hearing nothing from Mrs. Barbieri, Mr. Nelson, do you have comments?
I do agree with what has been said. Just want to add one other thing. Mr. Formica has had a business over the last 10, 12 years, 20. Just know that some of the skills that we lost with Sharon, that Bill had filled some of those financial skills. So that's just an added reason why I'm supporting.
Do you have any other?
Mr. Keith?
Yes, please.
I do have a comment in my analytical mind, because Mr. Formica did get the most votes in the primary. I think that makes a very democratic decision.
Thank you. Folks, I don't think we have any other board comments, so a motion has been made for this nomination and a second has been given by Mr. Braun. At this point, I will be asking for a roll call vote. Mr. Taylor.
Mrs. Barbieri.
Yay.
Mr. Braccio.
Yes.
Mr. Braun.
Yes.
Ms. Flizak.
Yes.
Mr. Kiewakowski.
Yeah.
Mr. Nelson.
Yes.
Mr. Keith.
Yes.
And the motion passes.
Thank you for that. We're going to swear in before?
Yes.
Okay, so folks, at this time, we do have a judge here this evening that the judge will be conducting the swearing in. And at that point in time, we will conclude this meeting, and at 7 o'clock, we will start our regular scheduled meeting. So, Mr. Formica, if you would please come up, and our judge,
Honorable Congress, thank you. And,
You can hold my.
yeah, Mrs. Formica, if you want to hold the Bible for the record.
Told that, if you would put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, William Formica,
I, William Formica,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend,
that I will
support, obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States,
and Constitution of this Commonwealth,
the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties
and that I will discharge the duties
of my office
of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
okay, folks, completing that business for the evening, I'll be asking for a motion to adjourn. And again, we're staying for the 7 o'clock. We will be back in about 13 minutes for that. At this point in time, I have a motion to adjourn this meeting, please.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Braun, second by Mr. Nelson. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. We're going to adjourn this meeting. We'll see you in about 12 minutes. Thank you.